Welcome to the second lesson on meaning and scope of government. So in today's lesson, we are going to look at the importance of studying government, which is the same as why government is necessary as an academic field of study. Then we look at functions of government, which is also the same as why government is necessary as an institution of state or as an art of governing. Then we look at other things that I have said or I've called it bonus. Then finally, we check some trial questions. All right, so we are starting with the importance of government, importance of studying government. When an individual studies government, that individual gets to know his or her rights and responsibilities as a citizen. So anyone who has studied the subject government gets to understand his rights, gets to be conscious of his rights, how to even fight for his rights when his rights is being infringed upon. Okay, so how to seek redress here is the same as how to fight for your rights when someone is infringing upon your rights. What are the necessary procedures you have to go through to fight for your rights? How do you even fight for your rights? So when an individual studies government, he gets to understand better his rights and then how to exercise his rights. When someone infringes upon his rights, how to fight for his rights. And because rights always go with responsibilities, that individual also gets to understand the need for him or the need for her to obey the laws of the land that is being law abiding, okay, to pay taxes. So let's put it in a nice way. Since rights go with responsibility, an individual who studies government, after knowing his or her rights, gets to understand the need for such an individual to perform his or her responsibilities as a citizen. Because we know that examples of the rights, we have the right to life, right to own property, freedom of movement, freedom of speech. But I know that I don't have to use my right, or the individual after learning government will understand that as I am using my rights, my freedom of speech, I am not supposed to make defamatory comments, defamatory speeches about people. Okay, so though I have my freedom of speech, the individual gets to know that no, my freedom of speech ends somewhere. I am supposed to be law abiding. I'm supposed to respect the rights of others. So it is basically the study of government, though there are other subjects, but then the study of government will help an individual to understand his or her rights, how to fight for it when they are being infringed upon, and then to know the need for that individual to perform his or her duties as a citizen. Okay, so that is one of the importance of the study of government, or one of the reasons why studying government is necessary, is important. Okay, I will advise and entreat that you can pause the video and look at the write-up on the slide, which is very well structured and very well put. I don't want to say the same thing I have structured or put on the slide. All right, so as knowing his rights and responsibilities, the study of government also helps an individual to understand the government. There are a lot of systems and types of governments around the world, but you will not understand it until you learn them. And it is through government, when you study the subject government, that is when you get to learn these systems of government and then these types of government are among the other theories and concepts. When you study government, you get to understand them better. Someone who understands these concepts, these types, these systems will not understand it better as compared to the one who has studied the subject. Okay, so we said that the study of government helps one to better understand the different systems and types of government being practiced around the world. Okay, let's look at the distinction between system of government and type of government in a brief. We will talk about it in the next topic, which is basic principles and concept of government. When we say systems of government, we are talking about how power is shared among or between the levels of government. So it is about how power is being shared. Okay? How power is shared. That is the system of government. Which system of government are we practicing? Meaning, how do we share power among the various levels of government, among the various institutions of government? So, for example, which people among the three organs of government should make laws in our country? Which people among the various organs of government should do this, should do that? How do we share the power? Okay, how do we share the power? Which of them should even have, in a way, supremacy in making decisions? That is how power is being shared among the organs and then the systems, the various levels of government. So the levels of government, we are talking about the tiers of government. We have for example, in the federal system, we have the central government, we have the state government, and then the local government. Okay, so how should power be shared amongst these three levels of government? Which of these three levels of government should be given the much power? Which of them should exercise which power? So should the central government have residual power, or should the state government have residual power, or we should give the residual powers to the local government? Don't worry, we'll talk about each one of them when we are talking about the next topic, on when we are talking about systems of government or types of government, or when we are talking about the state structure. You talk about all these words I'm mentioning, so don't be confused at all. What I want you to understand is when we say system of government, we are talking about how power is shared. How power is shared. So the state government, the local government, the central government, how should power be shared? Who should be responsible for making this decision? When we take the other institutions of state, which of them should be responsible for making these decisions? The executive, the legislature, the judiciary, which of them should be responsible for making these decisions? Okay, so examples of these systems of government, we have a lot of them. We have either the presidential system or the parliamentary system. Okay, should we go in for the presidential system or the parliamentary system, which will also be discussed in details in subsequent lessons? Should we practice unitary system of government, federal system of government, confederal system of government? Should we practice centralized system of government or decentralized system of government? Okay, so when we take the presidential system of government, it says that no, ministers are not supposed to be taken from parliament. Ministers are not supposed to be among the legislature. So that is how power is being shared in there. When we take the parliamentary, it says that, okay, you pick the ministers from parliament and they should be accountable to parliament. That is how the power is being shared. Unitary system, we have only one system. We have only one level of government, only one tier of government. Federal, we have three: the central, the local, and the state. We have confederal, which also has three, but then the state government retain much power than the central government. We will discuss all of them when we are talking about state structure. Okay. Then centralized system of government. Should information flow from one central point to the various ground levels, or it should be decentralized? We should not have one center where everything is supposed to come from. So how power is shared, that is what you should have in mind. System of government, how power is shared. Then we go in for type of government. When we talk of type of government, we are talking about how the state is being governed, on what ideology, on what values, on what ideas should we govern the state. So ideologies on how the state is governed. On what ideology should we govern the state? Who should govern? How many people should govern? In whose interest should they govern? Are they supposed to govern in the interest of few, in the interest of the whole society? Is it supposed to be governed by one person, governed by a lot of people, governed by few, governed by the wealthy, governed by the poor? Which of them? Okay, so when we talk of types of government, we are talking about how the state should be governed. So those are the differences. System, how power is shared. Types, how the state is governed. The ideology on which the state is governed. The values, the ideas on which the state is governed. So example, we have democracy, totalitarianism, oligarchy, we have anarchy, we have aristocracy, kakistocracy, we have a lot of them, which we will discuss in the next lesson, concepts and principles of government. So these are the differences. So what we are saying is that when an individual learns government, and you know it is because you are learning government, that is why you are being exposed to these things. That's why you are getting to understand these things. So when you learn government, you get to understand these systems, you get to understand these types, you get to understand these ideologies, these concepts, these doctrines. And then through comparative studies, you can recommend the best one, the one you think will be better for your country to practice. You can recommend which one your country should adopt. You have to understand that if democracy is working in our country, it doesn't mean democracy will work in every country. If totalitarianism is working in our country, it doesn't mean totalitarianism will work in all other countries. Okay, so one type or one system that works in one country doesn't work in another country. If parliamentary system of government is working in one country, it doesn't mean it will work in the other countries. So it is through the study of government that is when you get to understand these various systems, these various types, these various concept ideologies. Then you compare through the comparative studies. You compare them, then you know the one that will be suitable for your country to practice. So that is another importance of government. It helps the individual to understand the various systems, types, and ideologies of government, and to recommend the suitable one for his or her country. All right. And then we have another important reason for studying government. It provides career or job opportunity. As we are studying government, it creates a lot of jobs, or it exposes us to a lot of job opportunities, or a lot of career opportunities. Do I want to be a teacher? When we say teacher, we are not limiting ourselves to only the SHS level. Yes, the study of government, if you want to be a teacher in the basic school, you can teach social studies. You can teach social studies or government. In the senior high school, you can further it, because government, when you move forward, when you push further to the tertiary level, it is called political science. So when you further the government, you can become a teacher in the tertiary level, a tutor, or a lecturer. Okay, so the study of government exposes you to a lot of career opportunities. There are vast range of career opportunities when you study government. So you get to be exposed to them, and then you decide on which one you like. So the study of government also provides career or job opportunities. An individual who studies government gets exposed to wide range of career prospects. Okay, so you can become a teacher, like I've already mentioned. You can become a politician. Those who have interest in the political field, those who want to take career in politics, can become politicians. You can become political analyst. You can become a lawyer. You can become a journalist. You can become an administrator. You can become a manager. You can become a human resource personnel when you further the government. Okay, so government provides wide range of opportunities for us to choose from. And again, yes, you can become an entrepreneur. Very much important. The study of government will help you to become an entrepreneur if you so wish, because helps you to understand how the state is administered. It helps you to understand how best you can organize activities as far as success is concerned, and then succeed. Sorry, you can become an entrepreneur. Okay, because the study of government provides you with a lot of options, a lot of things. You get to understand, okay, how do I do this for it to succeed? Why? Because you will learn some things that our leaders did and succeeded, some things our leaders did and then they failed, and other things. So being an entrepreneur, you get to take some risk. You get to understand, okay, this person took this risk and then he was able to succeed. You get to be exposed to wide range of opportunities, very vast opportunities, which we can't mention all of them. Okay, we can't mention all of them. Other than that, the whole lesson will be taken by only the opportunities in government. Okay, there are lots of opportunities. Almost every sphere of life, government can push you there. Almost. Not every sphere though. Almost every sphere of life, government can push you there. All right. So we are saying when you study government, you have a lot of career prospects, career opportunities, job opportunities to choose from. You are being exposed to a lot of them. If you want to be a politician, you can move in there. If you want to be a teacher or a lecturer, if you want to be a political analyst, a lawyer, a journalist. Some people don't know that the study of government helps you to find yourself in the media. Yes, it can help you to find yourself in the media. Okay, you can be an administrator, human resource manager, and entrepreneur. So it is very much important when you are studying government. You have not actually studied the wrong subject. A lot of importance in there. Then we say the study of government promotes political participation. When we talk of political participation, we are talking about how people directly or indirectly get involved in political activities of the state, or how people directly or indirectly get involved in the administration of their state. When you are voting, when you are contesting for elections, you are getting involved in political activities. So indirectly, you are getting involved in the administration of the state. That is when you are voting for people. When you stand to be voted for and then you occupy public offices, then directly you are getting involved in the administration of the state. You vote for people, indirectly you are getting involved in the administration of the state. Okay? You get involved in demonstrations, indirectly you are getting involved in the administration of the state. That is getting involved in political activities. Because why do you demonstrate? You realize that some policies are not going well, so you embark on demonstration, or you join people to demonstrate. So you are telling the government that make this thing right, rule in our favor, rule in our interest. Policies you are bringing should be policies that will favor your country or favor the citizen. So directly or indirectly, you are getting involved in the process of governing. You are getting involved in the political activities of the state. We are saying directly when you are occupying political offices. Maybe you lead a political party and then you are being voted for to occupy some offices, or you are being appointed to occupy some offices, public offices or political offices. Of course, you are directly managing the affairs of the state. But you sitting at the back, voting during elections, demonstrating or embarking on peaceful demonstration, you joining a political party or a pressure group, supporting a political party, a pressure group, helping party campaign, pressure groups, criticize the policies of government, you are getting involved in the political activities. We say political participation. So when we say political participation, which we look at in the next topic, basic concepts and principles, we say that political participation refers to the process of getting involved in the political activities in the country, or it refers to the means of getting involved directly or indirectly in the administration process of a state or a country. So what can we do to get involved in political activities or to be partakers of political activities. We are saying that we vote during elections, we contest for elections when the age according to the country you have met that age, you can do that. Okay, accepting to occupy public or political offices, you are there. When you form or you join a political party, you are getting involved in political activities. Pressure groups to criticize government, you are getting involved in the activities of government. Not any wrong criticism, but then constructive criticism. When we say constructive criticism, it means when the government is doing something which is not right, then you come out to criticize. No, this is not right. This shouldn't be done this way. But if the government is doing something which is right, you have to commend the government. You have to applaud the government. But if the government is doing something which is right, and because of political reasons, you begin to criticize the government, then what you are doing is destructive criticism. You don't do that. So how do you get to understand the need to do all these things? That is when you have studied government. So the study of government will help an individual to understand and to understand the need to get involved in these political activities. That will help you to throw away apathy, okay? To throw away political apathy. Oh, me, I don't want to get involved in voting. I don't want to get involved in elections, that is contesting for elections. I don't want to support any political party. Yes, you can decide not to support a political party, but then they have to vote based on policies, manifestos, and the likes. I don't. Why are people demonstrating? No. Even you not getting involved in demonstration, but supporting people to demonstrate. Peaceful demonstration, of course, meaning you are getting involved in political activities. And it is through the study of government that you get to understand the need for you to get involved in this. You study government and you develop interest. Oh, okay. Aristotle once said, every human is a political animal. So if I don't vote, people are going to vote to choose the wrong people. When they choose the wrong people, they are coming to make wrong policies which will affect me. If that is the case, I will vote. You see, the study of government has helped you to understand why you should vote. If you don't vote, people are going to vote to choose the wrong people to make the wrong policies. So, okay, I will vote. It is through the government that you get to understand the reason you should vote, to develop the interest in voting, the reason you should join pressure groups, political parties, even form your own party to criticize the government. Perhaps before you studied government, or when you had not studied government, when anything is going on in the country, you don't care. You study government and then you get to develop the interest. You get to understand the need for you to talk about political issues. So it is the study of government that helps you to understand the need to develop interest in political activities, to take active part directly or indirectly in the political process and administration of your country. This is done by what we have mentioned: voting during election, contesting elections, among others. And we have to understand that as we do all these things, they are aimed at making our country a better place to be. Because when the right people are chosen, when the right policies are formulated and then implemented, they are going to make the country a better place to be, because they are going to ensure development. And it is the study of government that will help you to develop the interest, to understand the need to get involved in political activities. All right, then we say that the study of government helps to understand the need for one's government to join international organizations. When you study government, you know why it is important for the government of your country to conduct friendly relations with other countries. You understand the need for the government of your country to join some international organizations. Okay, even if someone understands the importance of joining international organizations, the one who has studied government gets to understand it better, because that person has understood the importance and then even the disadvantages of joining. Okay, so after comparing the importance and then the disadvantages, or the merits and then the demerits, you get to know, okay, it is important for my country to join this very particular international organization. It is important for my country to conduct friendly relations with this country. Why do we say it is important? It is important because when a government of a country conducts friendly relations with other countries by joining international organizations and other negotiations, that particular country gets to receive help or support from other sister countries when that country needs help. Or when those sister countries also need help, that particular country can support them. For example, because of the friendly relations Ghana has with other countries, and then because we have joined international bodies, a lot of them, government of the country Ghana gets help, aids from other countries to help run the country. And then there are times too where the country or our country Ghana also provides help, support to other countries. Well, maybe if a war breaks in a country, our country sends security agencies to go and help them. Okay, security agents or security officers to go and help to fight for peace. That is peace campaign and other things. All right. So some of these international organizations, you will get to understand that your government should join, or even why, if your government has joined already, why did your government even join? You will get to understand them. Okay. So example, you have the ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. You have UNO, United Nations Organization. We have AU, African Union. We have NEPAD, New Partnership for African Development. We have Commonwealth. A lot. We have World Health Organization. Okay. Recently, the outbreak of this pandemic, in fact, World Health Organization has been of tremendous help to those sister countries, to those countries that are a part. Okay, so you get to understand the need for our country or our government to conduct friendly relations and join international organizations. And then if your country has joined already, you get to understand why your government decided to join. All right. And then we are saying that the study of government also helps one to know the political history of his or her country. See, a lot of things have happened in our country. There are a lot of histories of our country which we were not born. Maybe your mother was not born, your father was not born to even tell you about it. But then when you study government, you get to know them. Not just knowing the histories, the political histories, you get to even know some of the decisions our past leaders chose, which made them successful. Some of the decisions that our past leaders chose, which made them fail. Okay, so you get to know the failures and then the achievements of our past leaders as well. Okay, so it is very much important to study government because it helps you to know the history of your country. You were not around during the colonial period. You were not around during the time where the British colonized Ghana, or even whichever country you find yourself. You were not there during some period. A lot of political activities have happened which you were not around. So when you study government, you get to know even why did they even happen? Why did people choose to colonize our country? Which countries even colonized our country? Which countries did this? Which countries did that? Not only about colonization, how did we even get out of it? Which people supported, which people helped to get out of this? Okay? And then you get to understand some constitutional and then political events, constitutional development, other political development, military regimes. You've heard of J.J. Rawlinson's military coup and other things. Those coups, you were not around. You get to understand them. You get to learn them. Sometimes you will know that, okay, the coup was as a result of this. It wasn't all that bad. This is what caused this. This was the importance of the coup. This was the disadvantages of the coup. Okay, so the study of government helps you to understand these past histories of your country. And then again, you get to know the successes and the failures of our past leaders. You get to know where our country started from, where it's going, the mistakes our leaders made, the right decisions our leaders made, so that in the future we will also not make those mistakes. So the study of government is very much important for us to understand the history, in fact the political history of our country. Okay, some events that happened whilst we were not even born, some events that happened which we are supposed to know. There are some events you are supposed to know. You can't be a citizen of Ghana without knowing colonization about your country. You can't be a citizen of any country and then you don't know some basic political histories. If your country has been ever colonized without knowing why your country was even colonized, it's not right for you to be in a country and then you don't know that. If your country has ever experienced coup, you can't be in the country without knowing. And it is the study of government that helps you to understand these things. All right, there are lots of the advantages. Okay, so we will look at other importance or other reasons the study of government is important. It instills the spirit of nationalism and patriotism. When we say nationalism and patriotism, we are talking about our love for our country, our loyalty towards our country. Why should we even defend our country? If you study government, for example, there is a topic in government called nationalism, which is very interesting, just like the other topics which are also interesting. It helps you to understand why you should love your country, why you should fight for your country, why you should be a patriotic citizen. It is the study of government that helps you to know that. The study of government also enlightens you. It broadens the political horizon of an individual. When someone studies government, that person gets to understand the functions of government. That person gets to understand how the state is being administered, how the affairs of the state is being managed, or how the affairs of the state are being managed. It is through the study of government that you get to know this. It broadens your political horizon. Okay, what are the functions of my government or the government in my country? What are the functions of the government in other countries? How is the state supposed to be administered under this system of government? How is the state supposed to be administered under this form of government? Generally, how should the affairs of the state be managed? It is through the study of government you get to understand these things. And then, yes, another important thing, it helps an individual to know the happenings around the world. The study of government helps you to know the happenings around the world. We talked about it in the scope of government that government covers one area called international politics or international relations. So as you learn international politics, you will be in your country and then you learn what is happening in other countries. Perhaps you have not been to the US, but then you are in your country, then you are learning about the US. You are in your country, you are learning about Nigeria. You are in your country, you are learning about Ghana. You are in your country, you are learning about Cote d'Ivoire. Other countries you have not even been to before. Even if you have been to those countries before, you cannot know what is happening in the country until you learn it. So the study of government helps you to understand. Because, for example, when you are learning types of government, you will learn the type of government in your country. So let's take Ghana, for instance. You learn the type of government in Ghana or the type of ideology on which the country is being governed. Ghana is governed based on democracy and then to the extreme Republican. You get to learn under that same topic what is practiced in the USA, what is practiced in the Britain, what is practiced in France, you learn what is in other countries. Yeah. And then not just the systems of government, you get to know actually what is going on in what policies are being formulated and implemented in some other parts of the world. So it is very much important for you to study the subject government. It is very, very broad and interesting. It gives you a lot of exposures. All right, so that being said, let's look at the functions of government. This is importance of government as an academic field of study. So we are looking at functions of government, which is the same as the importance of government as an institution of state or as an art or process of governing. All right, so let's look at the functions of government. It is the function of every government to enact or make laws. It is the function of every government to enact or make laws. To enact law means to make laws, so it's the same thing. Why are we supposed to get laws in the country? So that the activities and then the behaviors of the citizenry will be regulated. Citizenry means the citizens. Yes. So if there are no laws in the country, people behave any way they like. People behave anyhow. And so there are going to be chaos in the country. There are going to be anarchy, system of lawlessness. There's going to be, in fact, peace is not going to be ensured in the country. So there's the need for the government to make laws which will regulate the activities and then the behaviors of people in the state. And it is the function of the government to do that. The government does that through the legislature. The legislature is responsible for making laws or enacting laws. So one of the functions of government is enactment of laws. Yes, after the government has enacted the laws, if the laws are not working, then it is of no use. If we have the law that says don't take this, but then I take it and nothing is done, it means there is no need for the law. So after the law has been made, it is important for the laws to be maintained. It is important for the laws to be implemented, for the laws to be put into force. We have to check that the laws are working. So this function, which is maintains law and order, or maintenance of law and order, you can say implementation of law, okay, or it is a function of the government to implement laws. So the laws that have been made are supposed to work. They are supposed to be put into force. They are supposed to ensure that there is social order. They are supposed to ensure that there is peace in the country. The law should be working, okay, and that can be done through the judiciary and the executive. The executive by the police service, okay. The police service is to make sure that people are doing the right thing. So regulate, the laws are there to regulate the activities and then the behaviors of people. Yes, the police should be responsible for checking that yes, people are going by the law. People are living their lives according to the law. People are conducting businesses. They are doing their activities according to the laid down rules, okay, so that there will be social order. There wouldn't be chaos. There wouldn't be system of anarchy, lawlessness. There wouldn't be system where people are not obeying the law. People are doing whatever they like. No, it is the function of the government to make sure that the laws that have been made are working. Again, the government can do that through the court systems, okay? Because if someone breaks the law, the police checks that people are doing the right thing, and then someone doesn't do it, the person is supposed to face the punishment. The person can be taken to the law court for the law court to deal with the person, okay, to pronounce punishment on the person. So the laws of the land are supposed to be maintained through the executive by the police service and then the judiciary by the court systems to make sure that peace, orderliness, and then the law is maintained in the states. Right. So the law in every country are supposed to be put into force. The mere presence of laws without implementation cannot check anarchy, that is system of lawlessness, and social disorder. People do whatever they like because of the anarchy. It is therefore the function of government to set up security agencies such as the police service to implement those laws, to make sure those laws are working, to check people to do those things, to perform those activities according to the law, and then the court system, okay, to make sure that people are doing the right thing in order to maintain peace, law, and orderliness in the state. All right. So now the government has made the laws. The government has made sure that the laws are working, implemented them. He has put the laws into force. Now, it is another function of the government to make sure that if there is any dispute, that dispute is settled fairly and lawfully. It is a function of the government to ensure that justice is seen in the state. Justice prevails everywhere. If there are disputes between or among individuals, when I say between, meaning two people, and then when I say among, meaning more than two people, okay, among more than two people. So if two people have issues, they have disputes, it is the function of the government to make sure that those disputes are settled. Not mere family issues, but people even get family issues and they think the law court should decide, the law court should settle those disputes. Still, when you take it to the law court, the government has established the judicial system or the court systems or the law courts to work on that. Okay, so it is the function of the government through the judiciary, the law courts, okay, or the court systems to settle disputes between or among individuals and between the state and individuals. There are times where an individual will have an issue with the state itself, or let me use the word herself, the state herself. It is the function of the government to make sure that those disputes are settled fairly, lawfully, according to the laid down rules, according to the laid down procedures of doing things, of judging case. Okay, if an individual has an issue with an organization, for example, if I or yourself, you sue any organization in your country, let's take an example, ECG. I realize that ECG is not doing the right thing, so I have misunderstanding. There's misunderstanding between myself and then that body ECG. It is a function of the government to make sure that that dispute, that misunderstanding is being settled lawfully, so that the one who deserves to be vindicated is vindicated. The one who deserves to pay some amount of money or to be punished is punished. Okay, so after settling the dispute, those that are supposed to be punished are supposed to be punished fairly according to law. Those that are supposed to be punished are supposed to be punished. Those that are supposed to be compensated are supposed to be compensated. Okay, it is the function of the government to ensure that justice is prevailing in the state. All right, it is also the function of the government to provide socio-economic amenities. Socio-economic amenities means social amenities and economic amenities. Okay, we know that for the well-being of the citizenry, for the lives of the citizenry to be better, for the country to develop, there should be social and economic amenities like schools, hospitals, roads, markets, facilities, electricity supply, and others. It is the function of the government to provide these things, to provide these amenities, socio-economic amenities, that is social amenities and economic amenities. Economic amenities, those that are concerned with wealth, so like market facilities, okay, that is economic amenity. Hospitals, roads, electricity supply, they are all social amenities. Okay, all right, so it is the function of the government, it is the duty of the government to provide these amenities, to ensure the well-being of the citizenry, which is the same as the citizens, or to ensure the development of the country. Then we say that it is the function, one of the most important functions, one of the core functions of every government of her country, to protect the citizenry, to protect the citizens in the country. You are supposed to protect, or the government is supposed to protect the rights of the citizens, the properties of the citizens, and the lives of the citizens. The government protects the rights of the citizens through the police service and the law courts. Okay, when you realize that your right is being infringed upon, the government has put in place the police service for you to take your case on. There are the court systems for you to take your case on. Okay, so the government is supposed to provide or set up these agencies, these institutions, to protect the individual, to protect the citizens in the country. So again, the lives of the people are protected by the police service. Okay? Your life is not supposed to be threatened whilst the institution called the police service is in place. It's set up. It is the function of the government to do that. It is the function of the government to do that, to set up the institutions, the agencies, to protect the rights, the lives, and the properties of the citizens. So the lives of the citizens are protected internally, the rights and the lives internally by the police service and the law courts, and then externally by the armed forces. Okay? If someone wants to infringe upon the rights of people externally and even attack the country itself, which is another importance, attack the country itself, it is the function of the armed forces to fight against that, the Navy, the Air Force to fight against that. Okay, so the government protects the citizens internally through the police force and the law court, and externally through the armed forces. That is one of the main functions of government. It is the ideologies of people or the thoughts of people. We mentioned about political thoughts in the scope of government. It is the thoughts of some people. Some people have their theories around it, that government was established as a result of protection. Okay, government was established as a result of protection because everyone is fighting for survival. Everyone is fighting to protect his or her rights. We have the natural rights, right to life, liberty, and to own property. These are basic rights nature gives people, nature gives individuals. Okay, but because everyone is fighting to protect his or her own rights, people were doing everything possible to protect their rights. So there were states of lawlessness. People's lives were short. People were killing here and there. Okay? So there was the need for the people to come together. That is some theories of people, Thomas Hobbes and others, that there was the need for people to come together and say that, okay, let's pick a government to protect our rights. So we give our consent to the government, and then the government in turn will protect our rights, will protect us against each other, because everyone was trying to fight for his right. So if I will kill my friend to enjoy my rights, I do that. But there was the need for people to come together and say that, okay, no, this can't happen. Let's get someone who will make sure that he will check us. He will make sure that we are not fighting against ourselves. So the government was set up to protect people from their colleagues. Okay, that is the theory people have, okay, about why government came into being. So you get to learn all these things in government. All right. Then we see we have a lot. There's one last one you mentioned. Then we talk about the other ones we have, just like I listed some reasons for studying government. It is the function of the government to maintain friendly relations with other states, or we say government maintains friendly relations with other states. Okay, it is the function of every government to conduct friendly relations with sister countries, so that in times of help, in times of need, that government can get help or support from other countries. In times of need, that particular government can also provide help or support to other countries. Okay, so it is very much important for government to ensure that there are friendly relations between that country and other sister countries and other countries. It can do this by joining some international organizations like the ECOWAS, which you have already said, Economic Community of West African States, AU, African Union, NEPAD, New Partnership for African Development, UNO, United Nations Organization, WHO, World Health Organization, Commonwealth, among others, a lot of them. Okay, so it is the function of the government to do that, to maintain friendly relations with other states. And then we have other ones, in fact, a lot of functions of government. The government is responsible for promoting economic activities. Promoting economic activities. When we say government should promote economic activities, what happens is the government is providing services like establishing some public businesses called public corporations to provide services to the citizenry at a reduced or reasonable cost. Or the government will encourage some private individuals to provide services, to set up businesses, to help the country, to help the citizens in the country. This one is not about creating jobs, but then those activities have been set in place. Those businesses have been created to support the citizens, as in providing the needs of the citizens. That is economic activities. Economic activities, things that you can do to get money. So government can set up businesses to provide services to the country. For example, government of Ghana established ECG, Electricity Company of Ghana, to provide services. Okay, State Transport Corporation to provide services. A lot of them. And then the government can also encourage private persons to move in, okay, to also provide some activities, economic activities where the government cannot provide, so that it will be in the benefit of the citizens. And then we have create job opportunities. With this one, the government is not just establishing the business or encouraging private individuals to establish the business to help the people, but then they are establishing the business to provide employment opportunities to the citizens. Promote economic activities means they are establishing the businesses to provide services or to render services or to provide goods to the citizens. Okay. Creation of job means that the government is setting up the businesses in order to employ people, in order to take people into those businesses, or encourage private persons to set up businesses and employ people, employ the citizens, in order to reduce the rate of unemployment in the country. So these are the two differences. Economic activities set up the corporations or the businesses to provide services to the citizens. Create job opportunities, set up the businesses to employ the citizens in order to reduce unemployment. Then we say it is a function of government to formulate and implement policies. Also very much important. There's a function of government to formulate and implement policies. When we say formulation of policy, it means we have decided on what to do. We have identified the problem. Okay, what is the problem in the country? The country needs roads. We have identified. Then we plan of how to construct roads. That is formulation of the policies. We think of it. We plan towards its formulation. But when we perform them, when we put them into use, when we put them into force, when we make them happen, then we say we have implemented them. So it is the function of the government to identify problems in the state or in his country, in her country. And then after identifying the problems, the government is responsible for planning towards solving those problems. Not just planning towards them, but then actually solving them, putting those plans into actions, putting those decisions taken into actions. For example, let's take two examples. Muhammad's regime was regime basically for construction of infrastructures, and then most importantly roads. So the government under Muhammad's leadership understood that, okay, the problem is the country needs good roads. The country needs good infrastructure. That is the identification. Then formulation of the policy is that, okay, we will make roads. We will construct roads. You will build facilities. This is how we will go about it. These are the means we will fund the policies. We have formulated, thought of it. You have decided on what to do. And then they were implemented. Implemented in the sense that they were actually done. He constructed the roads, built the facilities, that is formulation, and then implementation of policies. So you know that my country needs this. You plan towards it, formulation, and then you perform it, you do it, you make them happen, implementation of those policies. The second example I want us to take is the current government under Nana Akufo-Addo. He realized that the problem is there is great number of people, or there are a lot of people in the country who have not had access to education. Why? Because perhaps they don't have the means to fund themselves, or family doesn't have the means to fund them. If that is the case, we will introduce free SHS policy. So that is the formulation. They decided on doing this. They thought of doing it. That is formulation. And then they actually put it into force. They made it happen. They made it work. So now free SHS is in play. It is working. That is the implementation of the policies. Okay. All right. That being said, it is also the function of the government to defend the state against any external attack. If people want to wage war against your country, it is the function of the government to fight against that. It is the function of the government to make sure that the state is being protected against any external attack through the armed forces, the Air Force, the Navy, and the likes. Okay? And then the government is also responsible for regulating the economy through economic, fiscal, monetary policies, meaning the government has to put policies in place that aim at generating revenues in order to run the country. Okay? Regulating economic activity, regulating the economy through monetary policies, fiscal policies. Fiscal means monetary policies. Okay? You are supposed to put policies in place that would generate revenue towards the development of the country. Okay, that is interesting. That being said, let's look at the bonus. So the bonus you are looking at is definition of government without specifics. If you are asked to define government without telling you which of the three to define, how do you go about it? And then the demerits of studying government. Are there even disadvantages of studying government? Yes, there are few. We will look at that. So when you're asked to define government, but you are not given which one to define, there are three best ways to do that. The first one is just give the definition of government as an institution of the state. Okay? Give the definition of government as an institution of the state. So government refers to the body of persons or agencies or the institutions that are set up by law to manage the affairs of the state. That is one of the definitions. It is perfectly correct. When you are not given any specific one to define, just give the definition using the institution of state. Or you can combine the two about administration, the two definitions about administration, the institution of state and then art of governing. So you can say government refers to the administration of a state and the institutions responsible for managing the affairs of the state. You are there. Or the third one, which I have, is a combination of the three. Okay. So government refers to the administration of a state and the institutions responsible for managing the affairs of the state and the study of these institutions and processes of governance. So I've combined the three. So I've defined government in three different ways. Using one. If you are using one, make sure you use institution of state. If you are combining two, combine administration, the two administrations, okay, the arts of governing or the institution of state, or you can combine the three as I've done here. Okay, so that is that. Then let's see if there are some disadvantages in studying government. Yes, there are few disadvantages which we will look at three here. We are saying that there are too many systems, too many forms, too many ideologies that we can compare. We said one of the importance is we get to understand the systems, the forms, the ideologies, and then we compare them, we pick the best one or we recommend the best one, the suitable one for our country. But because there are a lot of them, when it comes to the forms, democracy, oligarchy, kakistocracy, totalitarianism, anarchy, a lot of them, we can't finish mentioning them. But because there are a lot, we are saying that it is a disadvantage because there are a lot of them. So we can't get the time, we can't make that great effort to study all of them and pick the suitable one. Because we can't study all of them, we might decide on one. Let's say we studied or we compared democracy and then totalitarianism. Then we said totalitarianism is the best or is the suitable one for our country. But for all you may know, there are other ones that we were not able to capture. There are other ones that we were not able to study, which are actually better than the totalitarianism that we chose. Or we chose democracy. We are saying that because there are a lot of them and we can't finish learning, there is the possibility that there are others that will be better for our country than democracy. And then we also say that it is difficult to practice all the principles in one of the aspects or all the principles in any of the systems or ideologies. For example, when we take democracy, it is not easy to practice every principle in democracy. Are we able to practice rule of law? A country that is practicing democracy, is that country able to practice every aspect, every principle to the core? What of rule of law, which states that everyone is equal before the law? But we have diplomatic immunities, parliamentary immunities, executive immunities. They are all there. Okay, so we can't practice every aspect of it. When we take separation of powers, are we able to practice everything? So it is even said that democracy works in theory, but not in, separation of powers works in theory, but not in practice. Meaning we can't put every aspect, every principle in there into practice. That is another disadvantage. And then we say that there are a lot of scopes of government. See, when we're looking at the scope, we mentioned just 5 basically. And realize that they cover a lot of things, and because there are a lot of them, we can't finish learning all of them. So that is another disadvantage. We are learning the subject, but there are aspects of the subject we can't learn them. We even have other ones like political economy, which can fall under any of the 5, but we have those ones, a lot of them. And even the 5 that we talked about have a lot of scope. They have a lot of things they cover, which we can't finish learning them. Okay, so as we are learning the subject, there are aspects we can't even cover, and there are even aspects that have not been defined yet. There are aspects that have not been discovered yet, and so it makes it a disadvantage because the study of government or the government has very broad scope. So these are some of the disadvantages. And yes, though there are few disadvantages, through comparative studies, we know that it is still very much important. It is still very much needful for us to study government, because when we compare the advantages and then the disadvantages, we realize that the advantages and then the disadvantages far outweigh, and the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. So you have chosen the right path of learning government. Even these few disadvantages we have, there can be others. They are not very much serious. Okay, so it is very much important. The study of government is very much important, very necessary. So these are the questions I want you to try. You can pause the video, write them, and then try them. I will urge you to try solving each one of them, try answering each one of them. Okay, show them to your teacher. You can keep referring. Everything is there in the video, part 1 and part 2. I am very much particular about the question number 5. Take your time to answer question number 5. Take your time to understand the question well. Okay, the answers are in the videos, but take your time to understand the question before you deviate. All the best. Today, this brings us to the end of today's lesson. In the next lesson, we are going to look at the basic concepts and principles of government. Okay, basic concepts and principles of government. We are going to talk about democracy, the state, nation, and other things. Okay, so all the very best. See, there are some vibrations or noise in the video. I urge you to pardon me for that. I didn't realize that I have not put my phone on flight mode. All the very best. All the very best in your studies.